Today I'm going to be showing you how to edit like Brandon Woelfel in Lightroom and add a bokeh effect in Photoshop. First thing we're going to do is make sure that we have an image that's shot in a similar style to Brandon Woelfel's. So if you look at his images, he shoots around a lot of light and he gets that bokeh effect by shooting with a really low aperture. And so with that, he's able to get a nice bokeh, small bokeh in his images. He also shoots near a lot of blue, red, orange light, so you can have those similar colors in his images. And we're going to be trying to get that teal look that you see. And before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe for more Lightroom editing tutorials. And comment down below if you like this preset and what other looks you would like to see. This is the image that we'll be editing today, and as you can see, I've added a lot of teal in this image. Also, there's some oranges in the image as well. You can also see there's some bokeh in the machine over here, in the glasses, and in the sign. But I'm going to be adding some more bokeh in the image since there isn't that much. If you want to learn how to download this preset, make sure to go check out the link in the description to find out how you can download this preset. We'll make a virtual copy just to get started with a clean edit. The first thing I'm going to do is make the image a little cooler so you have more blues to play around with. I'm also going to adjust the tint a little bit as well. I'm going to make the image a little darker as well so that it's not too bright. I'm also going to decrease the contrast as well, since Brandon Woelfel likes to have somewhat of a faded look to his images. I'm also going to bring down the highlights as well so that it's not too bright, and then bring up the shadows since overall the image is kind of dark. And if you're looking at like the before and afters for Brandon Woelfel, you can see he does shoot underexposed so that he can recover the shadow details as well in post. So I'm going to bring up the whites too, and then bring up the blacks just a little bit. I'm also going to increase the texture, a little bit of clarity, and dehaze it just a little bit as well. I'm going to bring down the vibrance and then add some color back with saturation. And so this just made like a basic edit, just made the image look overall proper. Next thing I'm going to do is add just a little bit of contrast and some more of a faded look in the tone curve. So I'm going to make 3 points first, and then bring down the shadows just a little bit, and then bring up the midpoints, and then bring up the highlights. Also, to get that crushed black look, I'm going to bring up the black point quite a lot, up to here, and then also gonna crush the whites a little bit as well. And there we go. So you can see that just added like that faded look and also added a little bit of contrast to the image as well. So next thing I'm gonna do is change the blues to get that teal look in the HSL panel. So I'm gonna first start off by fixing some of the reds and oranges. Bring up the hues for those. I'm also going to desaturate them a little bit as well. And bring down the oranges too. I'm also going to make the reds a little darker, but then bring up the oranges just a little bit. This kind of helped with the skin tones just a little bit and kind of tame down like the oranges you saw on the top over here. Next thing I'm going to do is change a little bit of the yellow as well. Make that go towards orange as well. And then desaturate that a little bit as well. Then I'm also going to make it darker too. So next thing I'm going to do is touch on the blues over here and over here and make them into a teal color. So go towards like the greens a little bit, towards the aqua. Also make decrease the aquas a little bit as well. And the main thing you're going to see is in the blues where I change that over to make it that teal look. And then I'm going to desaturate those colors so it's not too bright. And desaturate the blues. There we go. And I'm also gonna increase the brightness so that the greens, aquas kind of stand out a little bit more. Then I'm going to decrease the lumens on the blue since it is a little bright. Alright, I'm also going to adjust the magenta and purples, make that towards blue as well just a little bit. Also going to decrease the magentas as well. Then I'm going to desaturate them as well. There we go. Also going to darken them just a little bit as well. So if you look at this before and after, you can see I changed a lot of the blues and the oranges to get that teal look down here. Next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of color to the highlights and shadows and the split toning. So I'm going to press Alt or Option to get the hue at 100 and bring this over towards orange, a little bit of red, over to 13, and then I'm going to increase the saturation. The next thing I'm going to do is increase the change the color of the shadow, so pressing Alt or Option, and change that over to about 190, and then increase the saturation. So you can see this added that blue, the teal look to the shadows and kind of gave the overall image that teal look. Next thing I'm going to do is sharpen the image a little bit as well and mask it, add some detail. I'm also going to get rid of the noise. A lot of nighttime images or dark images are going to have some noise that you want to get rid of. So I'm going to do that. Next thing I'm going to do is go over to the camera calibration just to fine tune the colors a little bit more. So I'm going to decrease blue primary, red primary, and saturate it. And change green primary, and then the blue primary a little bit as well. So you can see this just kind of fine tune the colors just a little bit more. And so here's the before and the after, and you can see I added the teal in the bottom over here, also changed the color, added some oranges as well. And so just the overall edit in Lightroom. After I've edited the image in Lightroom, I'm going to bring it into Photoshop to add the bokeh on the top and the bottom over here. It's also brought in the bokeh images as well. So I'm going to start first by roughly positioning the two images where I want them. I'm going to move this one to the top and then this one towards the bottom. And that looks about right. The next thing I'm going to do is make this transparent so it blends in with the image. And one easy way to do that is using blending modes. So if you go over here and click lighten, that gets rid of all the black, so you can see it matches well with the image. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom one as well. So make that into lighten so you can see all the blacks went away. But in the image you also see this line right here, since that isn't black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that. And in order to do that, I'm going to make a layer mask. And so what layer mask allows you to do is erase the image and bring back the image non-destructively. And so wherever it's white, you're able to see the image, and wherever it's black, the image is hidden. So I'm going to make sure the color is set to black and press B for the brush tool. And so I'm going to start erasing away the line, and it starts to go away. And so this one is going to get rid of that one line. The other lines aren't really as visible, so we don't need to do as much. And this adds a really nice bokeh to the top. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom. I click this to get the layer mask, make sure the brush is selected to black, and start erasing the top over here. And there we go. So this gets rid of that line on top, and this kind of matches, but you can see the blue doesn't match as well. So what I'm going to do is go over, click this button, and choose hue saturation. And so this allows you to change the colors, hue saturation, and lightness of the image. So I'm going to bring this down over this layer, And then I'm going to right click and create a clipping mask. And so what clipping mask do is allows you to set that layer only like visible to the layer below it. So I can change the color and it'll only change the colors of this layer and won't affect anything else. So we set this back to 0. And I just want to select this blue right here. I don't really want to touch the other colors. So I'm going to click this and go to cyan. And so what that does, it only changes the colors of the blue. So if I start changing colors, you can see it only changes those colors. So I'm going to make it into a little bit more of a teal color. And that looks good. You can see that just changed the color so it matches a bit more. And so I'm going to group these layers. And so you can see the before and the after, they just added a lot more to the image. I added the bokeh on the bottom, on the top, and just overall makes the image look much better. So this is the final edit there. We have first colored the image, then added the bokeh later on. Thank you so much for watching today's tutorial on how to edit like Brandon Woelfel in Lightroom and also add bokeh in Photoshop. If you like today's tutorial, make sure to like and subscribe for more Lightroom editing tutorials, and let me know in the comments down below what other videos you would like to see. Thanks for watching.